Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Tuesday the 14th of May. So, first things first, let's have a look at the news coming out today. And we've already seen some news here. I was just trying to work out my way through this. In fact, what I'm going to do is just switch for a second and get the data come up on here. That will do. This is really what I want to see. Now, this is slightly different to what I was just looking at a moment ago. Important thing here is the average earnings in terms of inflationary data, the actual unemployment data, which where is that? It's not showing, it's just showing the claimant count. Okay, anyway, 5.7 versus 5.3, so it's not giving me all of the figures. In fact, I'm going to have to go back here to get the excluding this and average earning weekly 5.7 there. Excluding bonuses, 6% versus 5.9, so 0.1 up higher than expected. This might have just sort of slowed the potential for a cut in rates, interest rates in June. It was on the balance apparently, according to the flow. But we'll see what happens there. Unemployment as a whole still sits down there at 4.3, very low. Unemployment change was different to what I'm seeing. The unemployment change, okay, there it is. So that was better. So unemployment overall then is still good, which could see them leave rates untouched. Now we're seeing a slightly stronger pound. I should come on to that in a moment. Sorry, we should look just while I'm looking at the news, etc. there. Let's just look at what else we got coming out today then. So we've got inflation coming out at 130, and it's PPI. The CPI is tomorrow, that's the main one, but PPI will be followed, and I'm sure we'll see some volatility around 130. We have got Powell speaking at 3. He's due to speak at Netherlands Foreign Bankers Association. Who knows what he might drop in there. It's not so normal to be talking about home business when they're away like that. Anyway, technicals then. So the euro dollar pushing up here at the moment. Yesterday did manage to push out a little bit beyond the 50, but struggled to hold on. Like many of the currencies, they pulled off a little bit. Again, running into its 4-hourly 500 here, pulling away. However, is that a little flag I see? Could be. It's seeing a little bit more positivity now. It has put the higher low, confirmed the higher low yesterday by taking this high out here. It's confirmed a more solid higher low in this intermediate short-term time frames. Perhaps we'll see. Well, as I say, post 8 o'clock, we'll see what's happening there. The pound. Pound had a reasonable day yesterday, ran into loads of resistance. It went into its yearly pivot, which slowed it up in the first place. It also ran into its R2. It just slowed up there. Now I did get a trade that triggered, which I was looking for in the morning. It triggered, and it was in there. I did close it off for, it was about less than 0.5% in the end. It was nowhere near the target I was hoping for. Looking for it to run up to its weekly R1, but I wasn't going to hold it overnight through the jobs, so I closed it. It'll probably run up there. It could be on for a bit of action this morning. We'll just see what happens with these. It's not negative what we've seen there, and there is still some scope for that original target for the R1 to be hit. So there is some scope there. I quite like it. As I say, I'll wait for a little bit, probably about 8:30 before. Well, it will certainly be over just after 8:30 before I go into anything. If it goes flashing off, well, I'll miss it. But I need to give it a bit of time, because as so often we see very quick, snappy moves, sometimes followed by almost completely quick retracement. Dollar yen still pushing up slowly. It's drifting its way up there. It's as if no one's going to notice. there's not a lot to come out today to change the flow of this. It's just how far further is it going to go? It's already hit its weekly, daily R1. It's possible that it will push up further towards the R2 now in its drift, but that's not far away. Come back to the 4 hourly here. It's in the midst of nowhere at the moment. I'm just looking weekly pivot below. So as it stands at the moment, it could just continue that slow drift. Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar now, I was looking at this yesterday. It did manage to start moving like the other currencies against the dollar, but only to fall back again. What we've got though is a sort of mild head and shouldery sort of pattern, that sort of pattern which you could expect more to come from it in the bigger scheme of things. But for me, it would need to be way above its daily pivot at the moment before I even start looking at that. But I was looking at it yesterday. Actually, it's on its weekly pivot. Now that would have triggered yesterday and still be live if it was trading that one. And it looks, again, looking at R1. So I'm looking for this dollar just to fall back a little bit this morning against most currencies. To be on the safe side on this Aussie, if I was taking it, it would have to be above its daily pivot at least. So it might be better opportunities for either the pound or the euro. Canadian dollar, I've got a short running on this. It's underwater at the moment. It's not really running too far at all. There it goes, all the numbers. It started off okay, but hasn't continued so well. But it's still sitting in this range here. So if it goes up, breaks the pivot there, I'm out. But so often we see nice movements coming off the pivot. I'm slightly underwater. I'd waited for a trade to set up, which it did. Now I'm looking at this, and well, it's quite a mess what's going on here. It's really slowed up for now, so I wouldn't go chasing that one. New Zealand US dollar, this looks like it's got potential upside still. It's a slow burner, very choppy from last week into this week so far, not really going too far, and quite a choppy one. I'd leave that alone. Swissy I'd leave alone. Did actually get a bit of action yesterday, but in the bigger scheme of things, it's not looking quite so. There you go, put it on the dailies, and you see the daily bars are quite tight and pinched, and there's a tightish range sitting there, so not interested in that. Okay, currencies that are often shorted, like the euro yen, is continuing its route to the upside, so seller beware. This has got the habit of just drifting and pushing as well, and it's marginally stronger looking and there's a more solid looking move than the dollar yen at this stage. Right, I shall look at the rest of the pairs in the room in a moment. Let's just go through, look at the other markets. Gold. So gold yesterday did end up on the downside there. It's been selling when we was looking at it in the morning. It's not moving particularly wonderful at the moment, and in fact it's decided to come back to the underside of the pivot there. Now if we see a continuation to the downside here, it could be that it's coming back to the S1, the weekly S1 that is. Certainly looks soft here as well. So there's a soft chance to either the daily S1 from where it is at the moment, or if you've got a bit of patience, maybe down to that weekly S1. Crude managed a little blip up yesterday. There's confusion regarding Iraq's production, etc., and whether they were going to comply with OPEC cuts, etc. But it may have sorted itself out yesterday in the end. But whatever, it's still it's gone bitty again, especially on this short-term movement. I would like to see it later. Maybe if it breaks down through its weekly pivot later, I would consider being on the short side of it, but it's just not been from an intraday point of view, an easy trade. Looking back at it from a sort of a daily, looking at these daily charts, yep, maybe it would have been an easier little bear flag sort of that came through, but often it's easier after the case, isn't it? S&Ps. So just drifting along the S&Ps now. We could see this happening some more yet. So S&P's drifting along. Nasdaq, pretty much similar picture, as is the Dow. Now these will be hanging around there waiting for this inflation data to come out. DAX, even that slowed up yesterday, ended up down a little bit there, away from its absolute highs, but it's still got scope. Lower time frames, it's nowhere near its coming back to its weekly pivot, which would have been sort of nice when it bounces off that. In fact, at the moment, it's just showing a bit of sign of weakness, with it's coming through with some lower highs on the short term here at the moment. So a tad weak on the lower time frame, but I could easily switch. The pound similarish here. There's probably more expectation that we're going to see cuts, or there was in expectation that we might see cuts in June from the Bank of England, but we'll see. It's not that convincing at the moment. Okay, that's pretty much it for me this morning. I wish you a great day's trading, and I'll catch you in the morning. Bye for now. There we go.